What if I told you the way you think, the very thoughts that form in your mind, are subtly controlled by something you barely notice? We're talking about the silent architects of meaning, the invisible engineers of persuasion, punctuation. Prepare to see commas, semicolons, and even dashes not as minor grammatical rules, but as powerful tools shaping your perception of reality. Have you ever considered how a misplaced comma could literally change your mind? Or how a single dash could sway an entire argument? Most of us dismiss punctuation as trivial, but what if these tiny symbols hold the key to understanding how we think, persuade, and even feel? This video uncovers the surprising, often unseen influence of punctuation on the very fabric of human thought. You use them every day, probably without a second thought. But what if those tiny dots and squiggles on your screen are far more powerful than you could ever imagine? Forget everything you thought you knew about punctuation as just correct grammar. We're about to expose how these unassuming marks are secretly molding your understanding and influencing every message you send and receive. We think of power in language as words, the grand pronouncement, the stirring quote. But what about the marks we barely see? This is the eats, shoots, and leaves effect, the quiet catastrophe or genius of a misplaced mark. A comma isn't just grammar, it's a legal ruling. A period isn't an end, it's a verdict. But punctuation is more than law. It's performance art. The semicolon's measured breath, the em-dash's sudden interruption, the dramatic flourish, the ellipsis of unsaid tension. These are the stage directions for the mind's voice. Now imagine a world without them. No pauses, no rhythm, just a relentless, suffocating march of letters. The chaos, the misinterpretation, the sheer mental exhaustion of being lost in a sentence with no exit. This is the revelation. These unseen architects don't just it isn't found in a thesaurus, it's in the tiny, silent symbols we so often overlook. This is the Persuasion playbook, where punctuation stops being a grammar rule and starts operating as a tool of psychological influence. Let's start with the emphatic exclamation. This isn't about childish excitement. It's a calibrated tool of it transforms a passive statement into a pointed command. In a call to action, it's the difference between learn more and learn more, the subtle shift from an option to an imperative. Use it not to shout, but to spotlight. Next, the cunning comma splice. Purists will call it an error, but strategists know it is a technique. That deliberate run-on sentence, the data is clear, we have to move now, creates a rushing conversational cadence. It mimics spontaneous thought. It builds momentum and fosters a tone that's relatable, confidential, and disarmingly direct. It's the punctuation of confidence, not correction. Finally, the masterstroke, the rhetorical question mark. This is the art of subtle guidance. You don't tell people what to think, you lead them to the conclusion themselves. Is this not the only path forward? That tiny curve is a psychological funnel. It disarms objection, invites your audience into your logic, and makes your argument feel like their own discovery. It's persuasion by collaboration. So, here is the playbook. Use the comma splice to build rapport and rhythm. Use the exclamation to inject precise urgency. Use the question mark to secure agreement. These are the unseen levers of influence, working silently between your words, shaping not just sentences but perceptions and decisions. The next time you write to persuade, remember, you're not just ending your sentences, you're arming them. What if the true architecture of your thoughts wasn't made of words, but of the spaces and symbols between them? What if the shape of your very reasoning is determined by marks you barely see? Let's talk about cognitive sheep. To think in dashes and dots is to design the very pathways of understanding. We've explored the theory, the hidden psychology of each mark. But the true test isn't in a grammar book. It's in the wild, where the stakes are real and a single dot can determine a fortune, an election, or a cultural moment. Let's unmask the architects in their natural habitat. First, the masterworks. Take Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream." Listen not to the words for a moment, but to the architecture. The powerful, relentless march of his clauses, linked by semicolons and commas, building an irresistible tidal wave of hope. That's punctuation conducting a symphony of emotion. Or look at the most iconic marketing slogan of all time, "Just do it." That period. It's not a suggestion, it's a full-stop command. It's the period that makes it a decree, not a tagline. Now, the battlegrounds. In law, a comma is not punctuation, it's a clause. $1 million contracts have hinged on the Oxford comma. Political rhetoric is a silent war of dashes and ellipses. A strategically placed ellipsis in a quoted statement can completely alter its intent, creating implication without ever making an accusation. These are the marks they fight over in back rooms because they know whoever controls the punctuation controls the interpretation. And for a moment, let's witness the chaos when the architects fail. The hilarious and sometimes disastrous typos. The classic headline, "Let's eat grammar," versus "Let's eat grammar." That comma isn't just polite, it's potentially life-saving. Or the social media post that ambiguously declares, "I love cooking my family and my pets," where a missing comma sparks minor panic. These aren't just jokes, they're proof of principle. They show the critical infrastructure that holds meaning together and the comedy or crisis that ensues when it cracks. So from the soaring heights of historic speeches to the fine print of legal doctrine and the accidental comedy of a miss. So from the soaring heights of historic speeches to the fine print of legal doctrine and the accidental comedy of a misplaced mark, the evidence is everywhere. Punctuation isn't decoration. It is the unseen framework upon which we hang our understanding of the world. It is quite literally how we make sense. Theory is one thing. Mastery is another. It's time to move from seeing punctuation as a set of rules to feeling it as a palette of possibilities. To build your own toolkit, let's start with practical power. For clarity, the M dash, this mark, is your scalpel. Use it to set off a crucial point with more force than a comma. For impact, the colon is your drum roll. It promises a revelation, a list, the proof. For style, remember the semicolon. It's your mark of thoughtful connection, showing ideas are partners, not just neighbors. But this goes deeper than utility. You must understand the feel. The period is a fist on the table. The ellipsis is a glance away, full of implication. Parentheses are a whispered aside, a secret shared just with the reader. The question mark is an open hand, inviting someone in. This isn't grammar, it's tone of voice, etched onto the page. Oh, here is your true mission. Become a punctuation observer. Read everything now. News, ads, texts, novels. Not just for the words, but for the architecture. Why did they use a dash there? What does that semicolon make you feel? Then, experiment. Take a bland email and give it a sharper rhythm. Replace a weak period with a colon that promises more. Try a parenthetical thought. Your goal is no longer just to be correct. It's to be compelling. To build sentences with intention, where every comma is a breath, every period a decision, and every mark is working silently to shape the mind of the reader. Start building. Your toolkit is ready, the blank page is waiting. Now, go and punctuate with purpose.